Judith Herman is hoogleraar psychiatrie bij Harvard Medical School, de geneeskundefaculteit van Harvard. En zij is directeur en oprichter van de Violence Program bij Cambridge Hospital. Zij ontwikkelde het behandelprogramma daar en zij ontwikkelde ook samen met anderen het begrip complexe PTSD, ofwel Disorders of Extreme Stress Not Otherwise Specified. Zij schreef als een van de eerste over incest het boek Father-Daughter Incest. Dat kwam uit in 1981. En vervolgens een boek dat in vele talen werd vertaald over complexe traumatisering in het algemeen. Trauma and Recovery. Kwam uit in 1992. Dit is haar boodschap voor het LCVT-congres.
So we are now doing this interview because of the conference in March.
Mm-hmm.
And the conference actually is to celebrate that the LCVT, the Dutch Organized Trauma Centers, exist for 5 years.
Which is amazing. When I saw the description of these centers, I was so impressed, but also envious, I have to say, because we have nothing like this in the United States, and I can't imagine. I mean, it seems like such an advanced concept to me to have a number of centers who are linked and all doing similar research and similar training and developing standards of care. It's just wonderful. So I congratulate you.
Thank you very much. It's both integrated in the existing institutions and collaborating on a national scale.
And developing more.
Yes.
The idea that there would have gone to already 10 centers and now hopefully 20, it just seems like a dream to me.
Well, we hope it's reality. It's reality. And the centers are developing their own treatment guidelines on the national scale. And there are many experts in the world who are writing the treatment guidelines. So
but how wonderful, too, to have all the experts collaborating and coordinating their research.
Yes. Now, this conference in March is about the importance of the therapeutic relationship. Now, it's different if you have a patient individually, and you relate to a patient and a patient to you, compared to a group.
Yes.
But in both cases, there must be transference and counter-transference
Of
reactions.
course.
So could you say something about that?
Well, I'll say it more about the individual therapy because I feel like that's where the you really work through. You can work through the transference and countertransference to advance the therapy.
Maybe
and I should start with the countertransference, I think.
Yes.
Because I mean, with the group, the group leaders have each other to work through the countertransference, and that's one reason we usually have groups co-led. Yeah. But in individual therapy, the countertransference is very much in the room with the patient, and much as we, try to keep it out of the room, it's there, and we can work with it very usefully, I think. And what's I think most important to keep in mind is that the countertransference is going to mirror the relational world of dominance and subordination. Again, to use the political analysis, and I think, again, always being able to step back and have a political analysis helps immensely, because you understand this is what happens to people who have been harmed in this way, and the harm is relational, and it gets replayed in the dynamics of the treatment relationship, because as witnesses, and we try to be witnesses, we try to be allies, but for the patient, the only possibilities are you're going to be an abuser, you're going to be a bystander, either of the helpless and useless sort, or of the collaborating sort, or you're going to be a rescuer, because there's no image of mutual relationship and there's no image of empowerment. So that's the Cartman's triangle that gets played out in the patient's dynamics, and it gets played out in the countertransference as well. That we find ourselves cast in the roles of rescuer, perpetrator, or victim, none of which we like, and none of which is useful for the therapy. There are many temptations, the rescuer temptation being the most obvious for people who have gone into the helping professions, because we want to help people, and we get our self-esteem from being, this is how we feel powerful, is to be, and so we can, our narcissism can easily get hooked into thinking only you, and your special kind of understanding and empathy, and nobody else really can do it quite as well. And down that path is real trouble, as we know. But also perpetrator, the opposite pole of intrusive over-involvement is punitive or distancing, either in the punitive sort of distancing or the neglectful, getting rid of the patient sort of distancing. And you see these dynamics played out also, of course, in systems, not just in individual therapists, but in the mental health system as well. And then finally the victim role, because after a while, if the patient is acting out and on the brink of suicide and self-harming, and putting on us constantly in the suspense of what terrible thing is going to happen next, and treating us in a disparaging, casting us in the role of the helpless bystander, we feel like victims, and we don't like that either. But there's often a temptation to avoid confronting the patient and holding the patient accountable, because the patient, there's this fantasy that we all fall into of sort of compensation for that if we can just be understanding and that in our nurturing relationship that we can compensate for
But love will cure.
Yeah, exactly, for the harms that were done. And then we want to be loving and caring, and we don't want to confront and be mean. And also, the more angry we are with the patient, the more reaction formation sets